This is the first random Nontendo podcast in the year 2022. This is episode 35 for January 9th. As always, to my virtual left, we have Jason.
Hello. Happy New Year again to anyone saying your random Nintendo last week.
And to my virtual right, we have Angel.
What's up?
Yo, I hope everybody had a good and safe New Year's. Today we will bring you guys the Quarantinis, the second annual Quarantinis. It is our personal award show. As we did last year, we aren't necessarily awarding our favorites that were released in the year 2021. It's more about our favorite pieces of content that were new to us in the year 2021. So the movie could have been from the 80s, but if it was your favorite, that is, you can mention that one.
Which admittedly makes it very hard to physically deliver some of these rewards to the recipients, because if some of the stuff is old, good luck finding the people. They may not even be alive, but in spirit, they won, and they know it.
Yeah, I had Golden Girls as my favorite TV show, and I mean, that's not going to happen anymore. Are they all dead now?
Too soon, Kevin.
Are they all dead now? Or?
I don't know. That's a good question. I have to imagine that Betty White was the last holdout, because, I mean, she had quite the life, almost 100.
She was the last holdout? Like, she was gunning to be the last one out of all four of them to be alive?
Yep. You know, at some point, you're just like, well, I got to carry the torch now, because that's it. I'm the only one. Actually, I don't know. There might be other ones that are alive.
Golden Girls fan?
No, I was aware that they existed. They made, I guess for a funny, I guess it wasn't really cameos. It's more of a reference in Gumball, because they kind of based the whole episode around the Golden Girls. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
What was the Golden Girl? I never saw an episode of Golden Girls. What exactly was it about?
I think, group of friends being sassy at each other?
Yeah, this older group of women that are just sassy at each other. And I didn't realize the level of sass initially, because I thought Golden Girls was like kind of like... Said. Yeah, I was agreeing with you. But I was just saying, I thought they were... Like, I thought it was a soft, like, kind of a gentler show than it was, and I started seeing clips after Betty White passed away, and I was like, wow, this show actually, like... This was more of a modern comedy than I expected, in terms of, like, the level of humor and whatnot. But yeah, that is, you know, a sitcom that just starred older women, essentially. Slightly older.
I could have sworn that it was, like, the four older ladies bringing up stories, and it would essentially just be flashbacks. I guess I was wrong. Jesus.
I will be honest, I've never seen a full episode. So I couldn't tell you.
You've never seen a full episode?
No. I've just seen clips.
Okay, well, I wouldn't expect... you know what? I would expect you to have seen a full episode by now. Not so much.
I would have too. Yeah, I would have expected me to as well, now that you mention it, because I'm kind of plugged in that way.
They killed it on television. Season 4 got an average of 33.1 million viewers.
Golden Girls?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bygone era of ratings right there. No show.
What
if any show got even a fifth of that, it'd be a hit.
The Game of Thrones finale got like, how much?
That's a good question. But Game of Thrones
got
was
like
kind of
18.
Yeah, and Game of Thrones was kind of a unique situation.
Oh
for
wow,
TV
it got 13 actually.
Yeah, so
I know Breaking Bad.
I mean,
got
the
like
one
5,
I always
it's most.
The one I always think about is, like, apparently the viewership for the finale of MASH in the 70s or not 70s, in the 80s or whenever MASH was on, that comedy was like it was an event that people were comparing to, like, the Super Bowl in terms of audience. And there's no way any show will ever get anywhere near that number. Like, MASH had 60, I just looked it up, 60, over 100 million viewers, a 60.3 rating and a 77 share, whatever that means. But 106 million people watched the finale of MASH. No show does that. Like, how? It's crazy.
I've never seen an episode of MASH.
My dad used to sometimes watch reruns of it. It was like a comedy set in a Vietnam base. But if you are here in LA,
seem like okay, well,
yeah, I know, right? But if you're here in LA and you go into Santa Monica Mountains, they still have like the base was built in the Santa Monica Mountains, and like there was a helicopter there and some other stuff, and an old Humvee Jeep thing, and they left a lot of it there. And that's where folks like Alan Alda, if you've ever heard his name or seen him and stuff, that was kind of his big role, was on MASH. So, the more you know.
Oh, I see.
The more you know. These are both NBC shows, I guess. Oh, no, never mind. MASH was a CBS show. Man, CBS has always had a huge viewership compared to the other channels. I mean, relatively, like, by today, all their shows kill it in the ratings compared to, like, NBC and Fox.
Their secret weapon is they purposely target older demos. Like the joke about like CBS being for like, old people is old people in quotes, but yeah, like a lot of their stuff is aimed at either older or just like broader, like more digestible. Like they don't do weird stuff like Community or whatever. They do more like surefire things. They don't take risks, I guess you could say, in the same way.
Oh, they clearly do not take risks. And if anything gets like lower than like 5 million viewers, they just cancel outright.
Essentially. But yeah, they're the ones that really like keep the like laugh track sitcoms alive. More so like the multicam ones, more so than I mean ABC does too, but like as NBC was going further into, you know, office style single cam, like kinda awkward humor, like CBS was like, don't you love laugh tracks? Come on back, and just had so many. You know, and obviously they had success, Big Bang Theory being probably the biggest, and now Young Sheldon spun off from that. It's huge, so.
Terrible. Young Sheldon. But, is what it is. Before we get into the Quarantinis, we want to talk a little bit, well, Jason wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of things that he still did over these last 2 weeks.
One of them was the last, like, one of them's been the last, like, 36 hours, because it literally just came out. Which is the Weeknd's new album. Yeah, so I don't know who out there listens to The Weeknd, but this guy just out of nowhere-ish. But no, this guy, The Weeknd just put out a new album called Dawn FM. He announced on New Year's that he's like not going to do a rollout, and then like he proceeded to do a small rollout. But either way, it came out on Friday, and it features Lil Wayne, Tyler the Creator, Quincy Jones, the producer of the music from Uncut Gems, OPN, I forgot what it stands for though, and Jim Carrey, which is not a name you'd expect. But yeah, basically the premise of this album is if you are listening to a radio station as you are stuck in purgatory trying to reach heaven, I guess, or hell, you're just in purgatory and you're trying to get to your destination, the light at the end of the tunnel. And the host of the radio station is Jim Carrey, who honestly is the best feature on the album. Which, again, not a sentence I thought I'd say, but he outshines Tyler, the Creator. He definitely outshines Lil Wayne, who feels super outplaced. But yeah, the whole album's just, you know, The Weeknd had a crazy 1.5 year run with After Hours and the Super Bowl performance and everything in between. And he did this really interesting thing for those who didn't follow, where essentially he made every music video, every live performance, and everything in between all be one thread of one character that mirrored basically the premise of the album, which is this person like kind of going through this whole breakup and riding high and being like kind of crazy, and then you know, doing a bunch of drugs and doing all these damaging things, and then like kind of coming to his senses and sort of scaling himself back down, realizing he misses the person. And it was like the album was like very like cinematic in a way, just it had a lot of different sounds. It was kind of like this lush thing. And now, 18 months later or so, he puts out this other album that is all very cohesive sound. It has this radio theme, so he's still doing kind of the world building. But it's interesting because that one was this huge expansive thing, and this one feels like this very kind of like small scale, tight, compact thing, because he decided to very heavily lean on the 80s, the sounds of the 80s. Like, it's super synthy, like really like raw synth, like Daft Punk-ish, or what Daft Punk samples at least, or if you dip deeper into the 80s, there's some like Depeche Mode or like Pet Shop Boys, or like those sorts of sounds. And then he just sort of rides that sound with the Uncut Gems producer guy by his side for essentially the entire album. Like, it's probably the transitions, the sequencing, the way he makes it seem like a radio station, like it goes by very quickly because it almost, in a way, all sounds like it's blended into one giant song, although it still has some, you know, obviously breakpoints and whatnot. But it's just interesting because it's, this guy with this huge vision for one album, and now he's sort of pivoted and is doing this vision for a different album, and in execution, it's maybe more elaborate than what he did for After Hours, but it somehow simultaneously feels smaller scale, just because of how the kind of vibe he went with and how he sort of brought it all together. So it is very good. I didn't say that part. It is if you like kind of like synthwave or like that sort, new wave or like just synthy, electronic-y things, it is very good. It's just, this guy's music literacy is like crazy, like The Weeknd. Like, I don't know if you guys, probably not, but he hosts an Apple radio show every so often called Memento Mori, and like this guy that knows like The Weeknd knows like all sorts of deep cuts and interesting little things that happen in music, and to hear him then take some of that and put it into the new album. Like, it's not just like, oh, it's 80s, so it's gotta have synths. It's like, oh, well, this long song, I need to do something where I like kind of sing at a low pitch, because that's what like Depeche Mode used to do, or like Pet Shop Boys used to do. So I can't just do synths. I need to like match the synths with that sort of specific pitch for one song. And this other thing, I need to do this. And like he's pulling, there's one song called Sacrifice that sounds pretty much like a interpolation of Thriller, and he goes for like a Michael Jackson thing, and Quincy Jones is on the album, so I guess that's with the blessing there. He's not just ripping off Thriller, but it's just interesting to see him dive that deep into it and have it work that well and have the production be that good. Like, arguably the production's better than After Hours, if you've ever heard After Hours. But it's just interesting to see like how do you follow up with the biggest album of quarantine, I guess you could say. How do you follow up with the biggest song in chart history? Blinding Lights is officially the biggest song ever charted. Like, how do you follow that up? And I guess this is how you do it. You build a whole separate world, you do a separate theme, and maybe it's not as cinematic, but it, it's kind of tight, compact, and you get Jim Carrey to narrate, and he somehow is the best thing on the album. But, or the best feature, I should say. But yeah, so that was kind of like a quick take. I'm still sort of digesting it because it's only been out for like a day or so, but I've already listened to it like 6 or 7 times over, which is already like 6 or 7 hours worth of listening to it. But yeah, I mean, do you guys ever, I'm sure you've heard Blinding Lights on the radio, but have you guys ever like been into The Weeknd at all, or?
No, and I've definitely been very aware of The Weeknd because of someone, but I can't
You're welcome.
say I was ever a fan.
No, I mean, I don't seek out his music. That's just not my type of music. I've been always more of a rock guy. But I will say Blinding Lights and the one that really kickstarted his career, I forget the name of the song, but
The Hills?
No, the other one.
Well, he did the song for 50 Shades, Earned It.
Definitely not.
Can't Feel My Face.
I don't know. The Face one. There we go.
Can't Feel My Face, yeah. The song about cocaine that won him a Kids' Choice Award.
Yeah, that song's all right.
Yeah.
But no, definitely not my speed.
That's fair. Yeah, it is interesting that like a lot of early Weeknd fans, like some have gone along for the ride as he's kind of gone the pop route, and this album is super pop, but like there is like a contingent, and it's still not necessarily your speed, Karen, but there is a contingent that's kind of bummed because he used to be like really like it was like dark, moody, like kind of like gritty sounding. Like if you listen to some stuff on Starboy, it's like super like trap influenced drums and whatnot, and like kind of rap influenced and sort of hip hoppy. And he's definitely sort of pushed that to the side. There's a couple songs on this album that you could argue maybe have some roots in that. And he's still very like, at times like sad boy, I guess you could say. But, yeah, no, he's definitely, as he's gone mainstream, gone more, pop, and like this 80s album of his. And he's dabbled in 80s for a few albums. Even back in Starboy, he was doing some with like a song called Rockin' that actually, weirdly enough, was written by Justin Timberlake, but, that one could fit on this album, but like he's definitely moved more in like a mainstream kind of almost happier sound, even though the lyrics still aren't. So, yeah. So even if you like one Weeknd and don't like the other, or if you don't like the Weeknd in one way, he has kind of evolved into another way. But yeah, it's still not rock by any means. Although there is an acoustic guitar on the second to last track, which surprised me.
Sold. Yeah,
there you go. There is a strummer too, so you are in. But yeah, it's just a very well done album. The production's super good, and it's just like I said, it's just really interesting to see how do you follow up, because there's and like people are saying this about Billie Eilish after her first album, like and Imagine Dragons had this issue, and all these mainstream artists, like you have a big first album, then you hit the sophomore slump as it's considered. Like how do you follow up something that big? And The Weeknd had the luxury of it being 5 albums in, maybe 6 albums in, that he now had the biggest album, but how do you follow that up? And the fact that he went for another concept and pulled it off is just like, that's impressive. So that was my spiel on Dawn FM. Check it out if you like 80s or you like The Weeknd or you just like synths. It's like very synthy. Very synthy.
Like both
wonderfully
as well.
synthy. Yeah. What was that?
And if you like both as well.
Yeah, if you like both, it's a double whammy, which is where I'm at. So,
is The Weeknd Canadian?
He is from Toronto, yes.
Why did I have a feeling that he was Canadian?
Because everyone in pop culture is now Canadian somehow. I don't know when this happened.
When do we become
started.
Canadian?
It's only a matter of time. The takeover's begun.
Nice.
They're tired of being America's hat, so now they're just going to become America.
I'd much rather that, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. You also wanted to talk about the Matrix Quadrilogy.
Yeah, and you saw the new one
Quadrilogy.
too. You saw the new one too, right? You've seen all of them, right?
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
And Angel, how much have you seen?
I've only seen the first one, and that was for the first time this last year, so...
Well, actually, let's start there. So as someone coming into it new, how did you feel what did you think of it? Because, what did you think of it? And then I'll say why I'm saying that.
It was a lot better than I expected. Like, honestly, my expectations were kind of low. Or, like, I knew whatever I was going to watch was going to be quality. At the very least, like, some kind of quality, just because, you don't get to 4 movies without being some kind of cultural phenomenon. And obviously, I was well aware of the impact of The Matrix when it first came out, because everybody was talking about it. And I feel like I had cousins that were obsessed by it. Like, it was, like, people were quoting lines all the time. It was really hard to escape it, which, I don't know. I think at the time, those kind of movies just didn't really interest me, and I think maybe how big it was or how often was it pop culture kind of made it annoying, which kind of made me almost slightly, not resent, but just kind of like feel like, Matrix, like, just get out of here. So, I guess it's no surprise it took me however many years to watch the first one, but now that I did, yeah, the story is a lot more simpler than I imagined. I thought it was going to be way more convoluted, but pretty straightforward, very engaging. I like Keanu in it. Definitely glad I watched it. Definitely glad I waited too. I feel like I have a more appreciation for it now than I would have if I had seen it when it first came out. But yeah, I definitely liked it. I feel like it still mostly holds up.
Yeah, it does, because I rewatched... So I watched it back when it was in theaters, maybe, with my dad. Or no, I saw the first one at home on video, and then my dad and I went and saw the second and third one in theaters when they came out in like 2003 or whatever, like 6 months apart. And then I barely saw it since. So when I rewatched all of them in preparation for Resurrections, which is the fourth one. And yeah, rewatching it, I was also kind of surprised that it held up. And the thing I was most concerned about, and even, asking you what you think, I was wondering, like, one of the big reasons The Matrix took off as it did is, besides like kind of toying with ideas of like the impact of technology back when that wasn't the trope that every piece of media did, was the special effects. Like that was like, it was like a showstopper. Like you've never seen a movie like this. So I was curious, and it's kind of interesting to hear that you seeing it a year ago when those special effects are kind of like rote and normal and not like that special. They're just effects. It's interesting that it still held up to you. And that was something I kind of noticed too when watching it, but I had the kind of nostalgia angle too. Was like when I watched it, I'm like, oh yeah, it still holds up. But like someone coming in fresh, that's interesting that it held up for you too. But yeah, I rewatched all of them, all 3, leading into the 4th one. And I think that probably helped for the 4th one. Because Kevin, did you just watch the 4th one like kind of off the cuff, or did you? Because I know you saw it, or did you kind of prepare for it?
I prepared for it. This was also my first time watching The Matrix in its entirety this last year.
What did you think of it in that case?
Holy shit. Okay, so let me explain. I had never seen The Matrix from front to back in one sitting. It's always been in chunks. And so with like the release of Resurrections, I thought, screw it, this is the year that I see the entire series. And specifically with The Matrix, my mind was completely blown. I absolutely love that movie. I like now understand the hype, similarly to Jason, and like similar to Angel, and like why it's so praised. I now get why it's so influential and why it's like regarded not just as one of the best science fiction movies, but as one of the best movies of all time. I've thought about the first Matrix movie at least once a day ever since seeing it. And This was back in, I don't know, it's not that much, like mid-December. But still, it's so good. I love the cast. I love the premise. I love the action, the set pieces. I think they're incredible. The fact that this movie makes, I don't know, like philosophical themes incredibly interesting and fascinating is awesome because I'm an idiot. So like wrapping all that up within like a techno cyberpunk action thriller just keeps me wanting to see more of it. It's actually become one of my favorite movies of all time for sure. And it's the winner of my favorite movie for the Quarantinis. So when we get to that, there you go. The Matrix. The first time I ever saw it, and it's like my favorite. 21 years. 21-year-old movie got my favorite movie.
Wow, yeah. That really speaks to how well it can like age. Now, what did you think? And if there things get crazy with the fandom.
The less said about the sequels, the better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think about the second two?
Reloaded is at its best just a fine movie.
Mm-hmm.
Revolutions, I think, is absolute crap. And do you just want to get into Resurrections?
Well, I was gonna say, what are your thoughts? Because this was a big flashpoint in the discourse of the second movie. The overly long dance / borderline orgy party at the start of the second one. Did that?
Oh, what did I think of it?
Did that take you out of it as much as it took a lot of people? And even when I rewatched it, took me out of it because I forgot just how long and cringy it was.
No, yeah, I was expecting it because I had heard so much about it.
Okay, yeah. It I think your kind of assessment of the second two is not far off. I do think one thing that they did okay with across the trilogy, is this kind of it has done, because your point about the philosophical being wrapped in like techno babble, essentially. Like there hasn't been a movie I can think of that quite, or a franchise, regardless of the quality of the second two movies, there hasn't been a franchise that has quite done that interesting mix of like religion and technology. And I don't necessarily mean like they're making like Jesus imagery in the Matrix, which like really hang you over the head with that in the third one. Like they literally show a giant white cross. But I mean in terms of like different religions and toying with all that, because there's a lot of like traditionally like Eastern thing, like Eastern philosophy things mixed in there too. Like it is interesting, even though the quality of the movies kind of go down, that they still find different ways to sort of toy with these ideas, and maybe they don't execute as well as the first one because the simplicity of the first one I think is what made it work so well. Like the simplicity of the structure, because in the second one they have like a lot more elements going on. But it is interesting that they managed to make a huge blockbuster franchise that toys with these ideas and do it, 3 times over. Even though,
oh yeah, maybe it was just. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Before I forget, one thing that did almost ruin the first one for me was the ending. I don't know why. Like, I guess like
was it
I
Neo
wasn't enjoying the
floating?
movie.
Or was Neo flying?
No, it was the whole like him getting revived with a kiss. It just felt like after everything we went through, it was like what? Like that's what they actually do that? They actually Disney this thing?
Well, it's funny because like the movie,
like even if supposedly there's like some better meaning to it or something, but it just felt like they ran out of it literally felt like they wrote themselves into a corner and like what do we do? How do we you just give them the kiss, like revive them with the kiss.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Matrix by itself, which I think was originally it was a single movie, they did not like the sequels happened only because the first one blew up how it did. Yeah, I think that was because the whole Neo being the one is very clearly a Jesus parallel. So I would guess that was supposed to be like the revival of Jesus. Except I don't know how else they would have done that. But yeah,
well, I mean they didn't have to do it with a kiss. They could have found a less cliche way, but yeah.
Yeah, but that
with all everything they came up with, it just made it feel more.
That's fair. Yeah,
that much more appalling. That
you
come up with this like Matrix concept and all these other things, and it's just a kiss. But yeah, that was the
Yeah.
only thing that bothered me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, it definitely was a little forced compared to like some of the other stuff they do in the movie. But yeah, so that's kind of the trilogy and how we got where we are. But then there was Resurrections, the fourth one, like you were saying, Kevin. And it's interesting because in the same way that, at least to me, in the same way that the first three kind of dabbled and explored like the impact of technology and the impact, and kind of the religious side, but really like what technology can do and what it means for humans. This one kind of explored the same thing, like what technology is for us. Like, there's this kind of underlying theme of, and I don't know if this is a real spoiler, but just like how the negativity of the internet can kind of fuel the internet. That's something that, and fuel kind of culture move, like, like Facebook like promotes like things that get angrier engagement. Like there are some threads of that. But what's really interesting is they toyed with it, not just with a layer of like technobabble, but with a layer of like self-facing like critique of reboot, revival, IP revival, like, Hollywood itself. And they did not make that subtle. Like that was maybe the most interesting thing to me, was how meta this thing was. Like it was so meta. Like the first third is talking about the first three movies by name. It mentions Warner Brothers. It granted is saying they're a video game now, but instead of a movie. But like it's so, they talk about all the critiques those movies had. They talk about all the praise those movies had. They made reference to like the Wachowskis, who are now the Wachowski sisters. Like they both were transgender, and they make reference like, is it an allegory for trans politics? Like all this other stuff is like, this is very, very, very self-aware, which was kind of interesting to see when there's so many reboots that take themselves super seriously. I don't know how you felt about it, Kevin, when you watch it, but I thought it was an interesting idea that they toyed with that.
I think it was an interesting idea. I don't think the execution was that well done.
That's fair. What was kind of? Do you think it was just too on the nose? Or too blunt?
It absolutely was way too blunt. And then mixing in how blunt it was, and then trying to continue the story, I felt like wasn't, I guess, cohesive enough for me.
It does kind of switch halfway. Like it is like, hey, we're a reboot, and then later it's like, oh, now we're serious.
Yeah, it's like, at the beginning it was obviously more of, hey, remember this, and then transitioning to, okay, now we're a brand new movie. It's like, well, what was even the point of the first half in that case?
I do think it was a bit layered. I mean, some of it was super in your face, like obviously when they're like, remember this, and they showed so many clips from the first three because I knew so many people hadn't seen it in so long. Like there's a lot of like, he walks into a room, it's like, we're projecting your memories from before on the walls. It's like you're literally just showing us clips of the old movies, so like people that don't remember it as well can get caught up, which was kind of an interesting way of doing it. But some of it was super in your face. I remember during a fight scene, one character literally references like a spin-off, like, oh, I'll, just wait till the spin-off, like I'll be back, which was definitely a joke because they're not playing a sequels or spin-offs. But there are also some like I thought what was more interesting was when they messed with the tropes of reboots. Like they introduced, and these were totally like riffing on that, I think, but I don't know how many people necessarily picked up on it, but they introduced on when Neo's back with the crew on the ship in the real world after he, is whatever, two like robot assistants that are like literally making fun of every reboot that's like, oh, we need a cutesy thing we can make merch out of. Like they had a little robot named Sabebe, which also sounds like how what's her name on Schitt's Creek says baby, Moira. But they had that, and they had a little robot named Luna 8, which I assume, based on the spelling in the subtitles, was a reference to the Wachowskis' Sense 8 series, because it was styled the exact same way. But yeah, they introduced these robots, and they just like, they're there for like, they barely have a role. Literally, they're like, oh, that's Sabebe. He helps us. And this like little cat orb thing comes out and just kind of looks at him and like nuzzles him, and that's the whole scene. But yeah, I just thought like when they did stuff like that, where it's a little more subtle, kind of poking at like what revivals are supposed to do, like these are the BB-8s of this universe. I thought that was pretty well done. But yeah, some of it was very on the nose, I'll give you that.
Yeah. And then whatever new stuff that we got to move the plot forward, mainly the action, I thought was incredibly sloppy and not even close to coming to how great the action scenes were in the first two movies. Revolutions, I don't even remember the action set pieces in that.
That was the Smith fight in the rain, basically.
Okay, yeah. Jesus, that movie.
Flying around, yeah.
But like the action pieces in this movie were just, I don't even know if I'd call them awful. I'd call them incredibly boring.
I do think that is where the movie missed the mark a little, in that the first one, and even the second and third, like, they were doing sequences you hadn't really seen before. I mean, if you look at the second movie, that scene where it's Neo against the Agent Smiths, and it like goes full video game, and he looks like a PS3 cinematic for a little bit. But that idea of like having him fight like these 100 Smiths, and he's like using his pole and like swinging around them, and they're flying every which way, and like movies didn't really have that at that point. Like, that was new, but action sequences have come so far since then, and CG and the way that it's integrated have come so far that things that may have been like, oh, that's cool, we're just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, without spoiling the climax, like, I feel like, I don't know if you got this vibe, but when they were on the motorcycle, it felt like it was just a zombie apocalypse movie. Like, it didn't feel like anything special, per se.
Yeah.
Or even, like, there's a scene where they're, like, jumping between buildings, or, like, hanging from a helicopter or something. And here's the crazy thing. They really were. That was all practical effects. I saw a video of it being done after. In fact, that helicopter, if you watch the new Venom, you can see helicopters way off in the distance in one scene because they were filming the movie simultaneously and they couldn't get the sky clearance or whatever because the pandemic backlogged all the movies. So there's actually the filming of The Matrix and that helicopter scene, I believe, in the background of an action scene of Venom. But Let There Be Carnage specifically. But regardless, that whole thing was practical. But like a bunch of movies that have people hang from helicopters and do stuff like that. So like, it's not that special, even though they put in the effort to try and make it, like, special. So, like, I don't know how much of that is necessarily their fault versus just, like, the medium has progressed so far, which sucks, because the Matrix is defined by defining what the medium can do. So it does definitely lose some footing when it can't push the envelope further. But they were in a tough spot on that front, to be fair.
Damn the brakes.
Yeah, pretty much. But I do think for me, I think two things. One, I think watching the first three literally in the nights going into the fourth helped make the fourth stronger because it felt like you pick up a lot of the smaller connections they do, the ones they're not bashing over the head with the, clips. Like there's some parallels and like without saying anything, like Trinity's arc kind of, mirrors things we've seen in the past. And like they do some kind of interesting parallels and stuff. But, yeah, I think for me, I kind of had fun with the meta stuff. It was a little on the nose, but like I'm a sucker for meta stuff. Like, that's why I love Community so much. So I was, like, kind of all about it, even though it was a little ridiculous. But, yeah, I think for everyone that was looking for the more, like, serious tone of, like, the first Matrix, or even the second two to some degree, the meta stuff almost made it like a comedy in the first third. And that's a hard pill to swallow, no pun intended, if you were really expecting the grit of the Matrix, because this one kind of misses a little of that grit.
I feel bad the people...
Yeah.
I feel bad for the people who are so invested in Matrix lore because I feel like this adds nothing. I feel like it absolutely adds nothing and like almost like takes away from some of the lore as well. Like spoiler alert. Actually, no, we won't get into it. But there's something that happens with Carrie-Anne Moss's character at the end of the movie that got me thinking. Like, really? After 4 movies, you're going to do this? Okay, I guess.
There was, and I guess another spoiler alert, but that isn't really spoiler alert. But like I was saying before, like how they were sort of catching up with the times and making commentary on modern stuff, there was which makes sense given what the Wachowskis, or specifically Lana Wachowski, went through herself when she, transitioned. There's definitely a very much female empowerment vibe with this movie, which is totally fine. But yeah, it does, because of that, change some of what the first three were saying about certain people and certain characteristics. Yeah. Which I mean, that's still, Lana Wachowski, that's where her personal life journey has taken her, so I understand why she would do that. But yeah, I could see if you're trying to follow the deeper lore that it doesn't contradict, but it does add layers that make things a little more complex than they were before, or need to be maybe in the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, like, I actually kind of had fun with it, but I don't think I don't think the movie was entirely necessary. I enjoyed revisiting that world, and like I said, I like the meta stuff personally. But yeah, this was interesting. It was interesting. It was interesting to see what amounted to a studio cash grab that tried to be more than just the revival for the cash grab, but was still ultimately just the revival for the cash grab. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, I agree. And she has gone out and said that, like, this movie was going to be made with or without me, so I am glad that it was made with her involved. I just don't think I was necessarily a fan of what she did.
Yeah, and I do think the ambition's there, which is the fact that they were trying to toy with like essentially 3 levels of a movie, because you had basically a new Matrix, a new societal commentary, and a commentary on the fact that they were doing a new Matrix with a new societal commentary. So like that was a lot bigger than what a lot of these reboots are doing. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily stick the landing particularly strongly. But if you like the franchise and you're willing to just give it a shot, I'd say it's worth watching just to see where the ideas go. But I wouldn't necessarily like hold it to anywhere near the same level as the first.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Cool. And with that, let's get into our second annual Quarantinis. I might actually have COVID. I've been exposed to like COVID by 3 or 4 like coworkers by now. I'm not feeling any symptoms, which is great. So I might actually have to be in quarantine again soon. I'm going to test it on Monday.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll get that checked. Hopefully you don't. Fortunately, this time around, it's a milder version of COVID for the majority of people. But
yeah, hopefully. But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
It is weird that, like, because we were talking, 3-4 weeks ago on one of these recordings about, like, we might have to rename the Quarantinis because, like, it's not Quarantine Chronicles, it's our nons, maybe call it the Nonnies or whatever. I don't think we knew at the time that, like, so many people would be back in quarantine. So it's weird that, like, it lived up to its name. Unfortunate that it lived up to its name, but here we are with the name being relevant again.
Yeah. But, with that...
Everyone wearing their tuxedos? Everyone in their award attire?
I am
award
in...
PJs, yes.
Yeah, I'm in some Persona 5 sweatpants. Very, very comfortable.
I feel like this episode... I feel like this episode's weirdly like split because like everything I just talked about, like the 2 topics I brought up, have this weird through line of leather jackets. Like all the Weeknd stuff is like he's wearing basically Matrix clothes, and then the Matrix, and now it's like, all right, take off the jacket, put on the tux, onto the awards.
I wonder if there's some sort of synergy there, some corporate synergy happening.
Maybe. I mean,
is
he's
he
definitely
on Warner Brothers label?
No, he's on Republic, I think. Republic Records. Although I don't know who owns Republic. It might Columbia, I think. So no. But his music videos, like for his single, definitely reference like The Matrix and Blade and like that sort of era of movies. So there's some deeper societal synergy going on with the 90s revivals right now, I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, screw it. Let's just talk favorite movie in that case. I already said mine, The Matrix. Crap, can't believe it. Took me 21 years to see this movie, but
I'm glad you did.
So happy that
finally.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, led to some disappointment, but it was still fine. Once I go next.
Through, yeah. I guess I could go next. So favorite movie. So yeah, Matrix was definitely great, but like I knew there was gonna be a part of me that like I'm like, all right, I'm probably gonna enjoy it, even though like I wasn't necessarily looking forward to seeing it, but I still liked it. But it didn't really. It kind of surprised me. I think the movie that I'm gonna give it to was one that I thought I was gonna just not enjoy at all because it just didn't feel like it would have been my type of movie. But I ended up really did enjoying it a lot, which I think made me enjoy it that much more.
Are you about to say Dirty Dancing?
Yeah, I'm about to say Dirty Dancing.
Wow.
So yeah. Because that movie definitely just really caught me off guard. I did not expect to like that movie, which just made me like it even more, basically. So yeah, Dirty Dancing.
Did you ever talk about watching it on the show before? Like, what was it about?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Did you? I
definitely
remember.
did.
What was it about it that like clicked?
Well, if I didn't talk about it, well, it's just the way the romance was done. It didn't feel forced. I don't remember the name of the actors.
Patrick Swayze.
Rest in peace.
Point Break or Breakpoint.
Or Ghost, if you enjoy
Yeah.
pottery scenes that are slightly sexual.
I haven't seen Ghost. But yeah, Point Break was really great in it. The choreography was really great, but yeah, I think it's just the way the romance develops. Like, it just didn't feel like as cheese. It didn't really feel like a really cheesy movie. It felt believable, and I don't know. By the end of it, I was just really into it.
You're just not going to credit the female lead again, opposite Swayze? You know her.
I said I didn't remember.
Oh, I didn't catch
Well, I said
that.
they were both great, but I just don't remember.
Yeah, it's
her name
I had
or
to look it up.
else she was in.
It's Jennifer Grey. You may
could
know
only
her
reference Point
from
Break.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She was
No.
okay.
I've never seen
And you
Ferris
do not
Bueller's
know
Day
her
Off.
from Ferris Bueller's Day. What?
Yeah, stop naming movies we haven't seen, Jason. That's rude.
You guys have never seen Ferris
But-
Bueller's Day Off?
Never.
Definitely not of its entirety. I might have seen just. I think I've only seen the chase sequence at the end or the running sequence.
Chase.
That's
yeah.
it. But
Wait, so
yeah,
the like bow bow chicka chicka stuff goes over your head every time a show or movie references it, or do you know that's referencing Ferris Bueller?
I mean, I know that's reference Ferris Bueller.
Okay, all right, well that's
never
better than
know
nothing.
that it was Ferris Bueller.
Oh yeah, that whole like that song and like the sunglasses and all that—that's Ferris Bueller. Yep.
Sunglasses.
Yeah, like usually when they
If you're wearing sunglasses, you're referencing Ferris
exactly
Bueller.
anyone in life wearing sunglasses. No, I mean like when people are like when they use that song and then there's like someone skipping something and they put on the sunglasses and stuff. Like if they're ditching something, that's usually a Ferris Bueller reference. Like if they ditch something and put on the sunglasses. But anyway, okay, onward, carry on.
There is a sequel to Dirty
Oh,
Dancing.
what's that?
And a reboot.
Dancing Dirtier?
Third year? What?
Dancing
Dancing
Dirtier.
Dirtier?
I
think it was-
really
it
wish
was
that's
straight
what they
to
called
DVD.
it. Yeah,
Pretty sure it
Dirty
was.
Dancing 2 came out in 2004. And then
There you
there's
go.
Dirty Dancing, the reboot, not called the reboot, just Dirty Dancing in 2017.
There's a reboot?
The re-dancing?
The We Dance Again. No, it's just called Dirty Dancing 2 and then just Dirty Dancing. Yeah.
Dancing
Interesting.
Dirtiest?
Oh.
No, just Dirty
All right, well,
Dancing.
Dirty Dancing. Congratulations, Dirty Dancing. Jason?
We just talked about it recently, and maybe there's a little recency bias, although I don't think so, but I really did enjoy Spider-Man Far From Home. Part of it was, I think, just having that theater-going experience with the crowd again, which in retrospect with Omicron was like, woof, that was a
Far
risk.
From Home?
Or
Interesting.
No Way Home. Did I say Far From Home? No Way Home. Yeah, sorry. The new
You
one.
could have seen Far From Home for the first time last year.
No, I saw it in theaters. I meant No Way Home. But, yeah, I don't know, it's just something we just talked about, so I feel like it's a little redundant. And I was saying I still feel like, and I do, that Endgame had the more oomph in the theater for me personally. But there was still plenty of oomph with No Way Home and the way it juggled bringing back all these characters and providing their arcs with some closure, specifically one character who, if you've seen it, you know who I'm talking about. Otherwise, it'd be a spoiler. But yeah, I just thought it handled it really well, and it had so many balls in the air and was able to juggle them all so successfully and kind of catch each one and like stick the landing. And yeah, it's just really well done, and it was just fun, and it was nice to be in that crowd environment again. And I'm not saying the environment dictated the movie. Like, I saw Dune in an amazing environment too, with at the Chinese theater up in Hollywood with the sound system and IMAX and all that, and that was an amazing experience for that reason. But overall, I think just like, yeah, Spider-Man just clicked, and it was kind of fun to revisit those characters and have a bit of nostalgia too. So I think that's mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
It is a great movie. I can't wait to see it again. Who knows when the home release is going to be, but very excited to watch that again.
It's probably
Hopefully I
gonna
have
be
a brand new
sooner rather
TV
than
by the
later.
time that happens. I'm sorry, what happened?
I was gonna say the release is gonna be sooner rather than later. Like the way theaters are they're starting to move movies out of theaters again. Turning Red by Pixar is gonna be digital only. Morbius got moved to April from January. Like, I don't think Disney's gonna let the money dry up with No Way Home, and are gonna get it out to video pretty quick. Is my guess.
Morbius, I hope
Jared
never
Leto
comes
being
out.
Vampire Man. Oh, you do know what it is. Okay, yeah, I thought you were questioning what it was.
No, I just hope it never comes out.
There was an amazing tweet. Let me see if I can find it from Dylan O'Brien, the actor, like the kid from Maze Runner, who I gotta find it. He's basically saying what you're saying, but in not so many words. It was something along the lines of, "Oh, it's not delayed because of COVID. It's delayed because we can't handle how great the movie's gonna be," or something like that. Like society needs time to catch up to the greatness that is Morbius, or something. He was being so snarky. It was pretty funny. I just can't find it anymore. But yeah,
Well,
yeah, that movie looks questionable at best.
yeah, sure. We'll go with questionable.
Yeah. But yeah, so Spider-Man. That's my pick.
Yeah. Let's go with screw it. Favorite TV show.
Shall we do the same round robin, starting with you, Kevin, then you, Angel, and me, and we'll just keep doing this loop?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this was a no-brainer. I binged it all this year. Within the last 3 months, Succession takes the crown for me.
I'm Angel.
Yeah, definitely Arcane for sure. Coming by surprise as well.
Man, it's like
yeah.
literally last episode of Arnon here. Yeah, because I'm also Succession. But I will say,
Otherwise, I probably would have picked Cobra Kai since it did start it from season 1 last year as well.
That's what I was about to say.
That was also another show I found surprisingly good that I enjoyed.
That is exactly what I was about to say. Actually, was Succession takes it because there's just as we talked about last episode, there's no real topping like the speed at which that show moves, the humor, like it's just like the writing. It's just it's the best. But I think in terms of surprises, because there are a lot of shows I caught up with. I watched Ted Lasso for the first time. Schitt's Creek, Good Place, like all these good shows. But if I had to if Succession didn't exist, I weirdly might actually give it to Cobra Kai just because it's melodramatic to the point of ridiculous at times, but the show's aware of it. It rolls with it, and it does an incredibly good job of integrating the smallest of things from these movies into the show and have it be entire plot lines that make total sense. Like even, I don't know, Angel, have you watched the new season yet?
I've watched, I think, about half of it, or more than half, a little more than half.
Okay. So I won't spoil anything here, but yeah, some of the
You
plot.
better not.
No, I won't. But some of the plot lines in the new season, by the time they conclude, and it's impressive how they tie things in. They do a really good job, and it's a show that I feel I was super skeptical of early on when it first was on YouTube. I know when you first talked about it on Quarantine Chronicles, I just I don't what? There's no way this is that good, and it is very good. It is very ridiculous, but it's aware of it and it works with it. And
Are the action scenes actually I guess well made?
They they're all actual karate that they learned, so they're real, which helps. They start
I don't expect it to be CG.
No, but I mean it's not like they have weird camera cuts where you don't actually see real whatever. But I will say the action scenes have gotten better over the years. Season 4, they actually feel a little more cinematic. They do some tilting cameras and some other stuff that you could see. This is the first season that has a Netflix budget, and it shows. They put a lot more money into this one. They got some cameos that aren't necessarily karate related, but it's got big name people. They have a lot more money to work with. So the action scenes I would say are better now. Even
do
in
the fights look like Power Rangers? Is what I'm trying to say.
No. You know what show they look like Power Rangers on?
Sometimes.
Yeah, early on they look more like it. Later on they look less like it. The show that really screams Power Rangers to me lately is one we also haven't talked about, which is Book of Boba Fett. I don't know where that show's going, to be honest. It doesn't have its hooks in me yet. I'm following it because I like the Star Wars universe, so I'm curious what happens, but it doesn't have the immediate hook of Mandalorian, having to protect the child or whatever. But some of those fights, man, straight up Power Rangers. No offense, Lucas, but straight up Power Rangers. So by comparison, Cobra Kai's a step up from that in the later seasons, especially.
Gotcha.
Is Lucas actually directing this one?
What? No, I mean Lucas, the company, Lucas film.
Oh,
yeah. No, it's actually Robert
Who's
Rodriguez
directing?
that's directed the first Book of Boba Fett episode.
Spy Kids?
Yeah.
Huh.
And Grindhouse and stuff, but sure, Spy Kids, yeah. But yeah, so Succession gets it, but special mention to Cobra Kai just because we already talked about Succession 2 weeks ago.
We talked more about the special mention than the actual.
Only because we just talked about the actual winner recently. So, yeah. All
right. Well, I will take one that I'm pretty sure only I have. Favorite manga that I read, or favorite book. I don't know if you guys read anything this year. I don't know if technically reading manga, because there's so many pictures involved.
It
A
counts.
favorite manga.
There's words.
All right. Yeah, there's words in there.
Well, that's like,
Yeah, you were gonna say something.
oh no, oh no, I was gonna say like, well, I mean, in that case, like just calling it favorite manga, just it's good enough then.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't think this will come like as any surprise to anybody who listens to this podcast. But I mean, Chainsaw Man. You can go back to that episode where I just wax poetic about it, but it truly is like my favorite manga of the last year and of all time. It's got it all. It's funny. It's violent. It's incredibly horny, but like it can also be very down to earth and like very somber. It's fantastic. Its anime adaptation is finally coming out this year, which, depending on the animation, I think has a chance at being the best anime of 2022. Like, fingers crossed. And apparently, part 2 of the manga is also coming out this year. So, definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, Chainsaw Man, go read it. If you can. Shonen Jump app. Only $2 for the entire thing. We are not sponsored by Shonen Jump.
That's actually a steal. Not sponsored by Shonen Jump.
Yeah,
that's
you
actually
get like
a steal. What a bargain!
You get a ton of really good manga to read. You got all of
Is it
Dragon
flat?
Ball,
Wait, is it
Dragon Ball Z.
flat too, or is it
everything.
like a subscription?
I'm sorry.
Is it a flat $2 one-time fee or a subscription?
Oh, it's a subscription, but come on, $2?
Yeah, that's still only like a quarter or a fifth of like a streaming service. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And at a price like that, who can't subscribe to Shonen Jump, the official app? Find it on iTunes and or not iTunes, the App Store and Google Play. Not sponsored.
I can't wait to get my manga fix.
There we go. Perfect.
I guess not quite a manga, but I mean, I still read comics every day. Well, every month. Mainly just like Transformers and Ninja Turtles, so Quarantinis will basically come down to whether one year Ninja Turtles was better than Transformers or vice versa. But considering I kind of stopped reading Transformers, I still get them every month, so I have like a backlog of like maybe 20 issues to read. But I don't really know why I stopped. I think at some point, I think I missed a few issues, or they didn't give them to me from my pull box, so I had to wait a couple months to get back into it. But the plot got very, very thick that I needed to reread stuff, and it's a very political comic. Like, very, very political. It's like I'm watching an episode of... It's like when you watch that TV, or that type of TV, that you really have to be focusing, and even if you, like, distract yourself for a second, you just get lost. So, that's kind of how it is right now. It's interesting, but, yeah, you can't be in any mindset, so... Yeah, Ninja Turtles still definitely I would give them my comic of the year for sure. They wrapped up some new stories, came up with a bunch of new enemies, reintroduced a bunch of old characters from the show and old comics in interesting ways. Just, I don't know, I guess where the story is now is definitely, it's interesting.
They introduced a new turtle, right?
Oh yeah, but that was 2 or 3 years ago?
A lady
Oh, wait,
turtle, isn't
really?
it?
Yeah, that's old.
Oh, wow, I literally just heard about her now. Crazy.
Yeah, and that character was in the comics, like in the comics for like about 2 years before she became a turtle. So it was really well done. It wasn't like it just came out of nowhere. Like everything felt like, oh, it just made sense.
Which classic artist is she named after? Or did they drop that motif? Because Leonardo, Michelangelo, what's her name?
They dropped that because she was just a foot soldier at some point.
I swear, if her name's just like Sally, like, oh, here's Leonardo and Michelangelo and Sally.
Yeah, what's her name?
What is her name?
Sally's the name of a lion mutant that's like the mayor or the running.
Okay, I did not think there was a Sally in the comic, but interesting there is. What's the name of the turtle though?
Sally Pride. Jenica. But they call her Jenny.
Huh.
Okay, well, that was a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? I mean, there are female artists. Like, okay, whatever.
Well, I mean...
Venus de Milo was the character in New Mutation, right? Was Venus de Milo, was she a human that turned into a turtle, or was she always a turtle?
Honestly, I'm not sure as far as that one goes because I didn't really watch The Next Mutation.
Oh, you
But
got homework to
I don't
do.
know. This doesn't that universe doesn't matter to me. Or
Wow.
that
That was just very to the point. Okay.
well, yeah, because I mean, The Next Mutation, it just wasn't very good in general. It's like discount Power Rangers, but yeah, I mean, even the name Jenica, I feel like if she had been named after a Renaissance artist, it probably would have been. I probably would have been happy with that because it would have felt like, oh, that's way too much of a coincidence. Because, like, what are the odds that a random person with a, Renaissance inspired name happens to turn into a Ninja Turtle? I guess this way it's like, just feels more natural, I guess, or less forced in. But I guess that's beside the point. But yeah, I guess that's my, reading material that I had.
Congratulations to TMNT. Who's the publisher of that? Is it still IDW?
Yep.
And they also publish Transformers, right?
Transformers. Yep.
Oh, they got some.
I'm definitely the
good
IDW
properties.
reader. Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff. They have Sonic. They also publish a lot of Marvel comics, which is really
never
confusing.
mind. They're 2 for 3.
I heard the Sonic comics are actually
Sonic
good.
I was gonna say, like, I've heard a lot of really positive things about the Sonic comic, but yeah, like, it throws me off. I didn't know that they also publish Marvel. Like, they have like their own line of like Spider-Man comics and other stuff.
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, wait, what are these?
Wait,
like,
how?
What are these?
Why? What?
I don't know, but they do. Doesn't make any sense, but they
Who owns
publish
IDW?
some Marvel comics. They have. Yeah, are they owned by Marvel?
No, I looked it up. They're owned by the Zedge
there's
Nordic
no
NUF
shot.
Ltd, which sounds like an investment firm or something.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Then I don't know. They also published some Star Wars comics, which
That I
you
knew.
think
Yeah.
Disney would use Marvel.
Well, yeah,
But
they
the contract
do
may
use
already
Marvel.
be in place. But the contract may already be in place the same way that until Disney bought Fox, they still didn't have back Fantastic Four or X-Men. That's probably what happened with IDW and Star Wars.
Rights are so dumb.
They can be.
Like publishing rights are so dumb. I hate
But can you
it.
imagine though, like if you are IDW and then just one day Disney buys Lucas Arts or film, and then you're just like, oh, cool, my contract's null and void, and I had all the null and void. There we go. And I had all these comics in the work, and now it's just money down the drain. Like it would suck for you as IDW if that happens. So I do get why they have to preserve the contract at least until it lapses, but yeah, the whole thing is kind of silly. Yeah.
Cool.
A little bit.
Jason doesn't have anything because he doesn't read.
Hey, I read. I just don't read comics. I mean, I could
just
tell you
looks
right
at
now,
movie
I was opening
pictures.
it while waiting. This past week, I spent 15 and a half hours on Twitter. That's a lot of things to read. And it's the number 1 app when I pick up my phone by a large margin. Actually, number 2 apps because I have 2
very
Twitter
terminally
apps.
online.
Yes, two Twitter apps. So combined, it's a lot.
Wait, are you doing favorite app?
No, I'm just saying. I
That's not a new app,
do
though.
read a lot. I read Twitter. No, but actually, if we were doing favorite reading, there are 2 I want to shout out. I don't know which is the. So there's that Nintendo book about Iwata, Ask Iwata, where it's like him talking to developers. That was cool. That's Nintendo though. Not Nintendo. One I guess I could shout out. Seth Rogen wrote a book back in May. And it's basically like anecdotes from his like life as he like interacted with different people in Hollywood and the different experiences, and including George Lucas, speaking of Star Wars. And yeah, it's just like these funny anecdotes, and he's a comedian, so he's good at telling stories, and the book's just, it's kind of light and breezy, but it's fun. It's just a fun read if you like to hear these sort of inside stories and wacky shenanigans that this guy has gone through. So yeah, just a small shout out to his book.
Wow.
Also, my copy's signed by him, which is
Appeals
kind
to
of
the
cool.
Jasons. Got
Yeah,
it.
exactly. But yeah, and it's like,
I guess speaking
it's
of
like a $12
words,
book. So
what the heck is Wordle? I refuse to Google it because
you'd rather
it's a
use the podcast time to enlighten the larger world. Yes.
yeah, it's like, why Google it when I could just ask someone here that actually uses it? Because like I've been seeing a lot of people on my timeline.
Okay,
Who
call
are you
me out.
targeting with that comment?
Just call me out. Say it with your chest, dog.
Yeah, because like out of nowhere, like a bunch of coworkers just like started like tweeting about this, and then other random people that I followed just started tweeting about this, and I'm like, where did this come from? It's like some drawing game, and then I saw Kevin tweet about it, and I'm like, Kevin too. So yeah, what the heck is this?
Wordle. I don't know.
Why are people posting pictures? Are they building a giant like?
It's just lingo. I don't know if you've ever have played that game. Have you ever played Lingo?
No.
Or have you ever seen
Doesn't sound
Lingo,
familiar.
like the Game Show Network game?
No.
It's essentially
unfortunately.
so you're essentially trying to guess a 5-letter word within 6 tries. And so your first word can be spite, right? SPITE. And then the game will tell you which of those letters are in the right place and which of those letters are in the word but are not in the right place. So using that, you try to figure out just a 6-letter word. 5-letter word, apologies.
Huh.
And so, you kind of want to use a mix of you kind of want to use a strategy. Maybe if you don't get maybe if you get like 1 or 2 letters either in the correct spot or just in general that will be in the word, you're like, okay, I got 2 of those down. Let me do a word that has none of those letters that I just used to see if I could come up with more, and then eventually figure out by the 6th try. The first word that I always try is penis, and
Of course it is.
that's got 2 vowels, 3 consonants.
E.
S is a very frequent. Always do it. Always has to be my first try. What do you mean? Of course it is.
I mean, is anyone shocked that you said that? I don't think so.
Okay, fair enough.
I
Yeah.
am.
But okay, one person. I guarantee they're listeners. If you're shocked that was Kevin's first word, tweet at Round Nintendo and say I'm shocked. No context needed. Just say I'm shocked, and we'll tally it and see how many people are shocked. I bet you
Yeah.
like 0.
Well, it's a good word. Okay.
It has a lot of common letters. It's true. I was gonna say one thing you didn't really touch on with Wordle specifically though, Kevin, is the reason it's spraying like wildfire, Angel, is one of the
why
hooks.
are people posting it?
Yeah, so one of the hooks it has is you share your sort of word grid. So, you get your first word, penis in Kevin's case, and you see what letters work, and then you get your second, you kind of whittle your way down. You get, I think, 6 tries in total, like you were saying, right? So,
Yeah, 6 tries.
So you get a grid of the colors of which thing you got in which way, and then you can share that little grid on your social media. And then because I think it's the same word for everyone every day, you can kind of compare who was quicker at that word. And that was sort of the social media hook that you're now seeing with those grids everywhere, Angel. So that's kind of that extra piece. Because like New York Times crossword puzzles, like people shared those results all the time. Not at the groundswell that we're seeing with Wordle, but that's already popular. So whoever built Wordle, which is this guy who apparently just built it for his partner, like as a little like gift for her. And then it blew up and like he had no plans to like do anything with it. Like seriously, he added that little hook. So like, like when she gets it or doesn't get it, she can share back to him how she did. And likewise, close friends of theirs that they share it with could share with one another, and it just took off.
Huh.
Yep. So I've yet to try it myself.
I totally forgot. For the first time ever, I got the word in 3 tries today.
Wow.
I was very proud of myself. I don't remember the word. So like I'm trying to go back to do it. And I only got the N right. No PEIS. So totally forgot what's the second word that I tried.
What's interesting about it is like this was so like just a small project that it's not even like the URL isn't even like a real, it's not like wordle.com. It's like powerlanguage.co.uk/wordle/ something else. Like this was not meant to blow up like it did. Like it's sheer happenstance that it caught on in the way it did. So there's no ads on it or anything. Like he had no intention for this to be what it became. It's very much the Flappy Bird story all over again.
Okay, so I went penis, then gnome, then knack. I got KNACK. Or well, no, well, duh, that's the word knack. N in the wrong spot, A in the right spot, C in the wrong spot, and then K. So it had to be C. Crap. Oh, crank. Crank was today's word. Yep, I got it. Somehow got that in my 3rd try originally.
I got it in my I got it in my first try because I just listened to what you were saying and typed what you said. So that's my first time playing Wordle, everyone.
Well, there you
go. And don't worry, we didn't spoil it because this doesn't go out till the new word.
Yeah,
hits, so yeah.
You're not gonna tweet it and blow everyone's mind?
No, because that'd be a lie. I mean, Kevin did well. I didn't do well. I just piggybacked. I don't want to deceive my followers. That's rude.
Well, all right. That is technically a game. Let's go with our favorite game. Jason, do you have anything that isn't Nintendo? Do you play anything that's not Nintendo?
That's not on a Nintendo system? Rarely. I had Apple Arcade for like the trial period just to try a Tetris game called Tetris Beat. That was like a poor man's Tetris Effect. So that's not winning. It's not bad. It just is. Just, exists. So no, I don't have one. You can pass over me.
Angel?
Yeah, I didn't play too many non-Nintendo games. At least, too many new ones that felt impactful. But off the top of my head, unless if Rounds isn't on the Switch somewhere, because God knows how many games are on the Switch now, then I'll definitely go with Rounds. Because, it's a chaotic little, 2D roguelike shooter, like arena shooter, that it's just really fun and wacky. It's like both competitive, but also very random, so it's kind of approachable to a lot of people, but yeah, it's really great. It's really fun. I really liked Rounds, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody that just wants a nice little versus game.
Wait, I
Unfortunately,
thought Rounds
finding
was
random
the
opponents
fighting one. What's that like black and white one?
That's the fighting one you're thinking of is probably Footsies.
Oh, that's Footsies. Okay. Never mind.
But yeah, Rounds. That's
well, I'm giving mine to Psychonauts 2. Did you ever play it, Angel?
Just Psychonauts 1.
You just played the first one this year,
2.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I haven't beaten it, though. That's why I haven't put it on this list.
Okay. Well, I
got pretty far in it, but yeah.
What area are you? Or, do you remember the last thing that you did?
I'm in an insane asylum, helping some...
Insane
I guess I'm already
asylum.
collecting brain. Yeah, there's some painters, some person that thinks they're the main doctor.
I don't remember.
And I'm
that.
helping. I'm helping find the brains of my friends because he's literally the only one left at this point.
Oh, gotcha.
It feels like I'm in the end game.
Oh, yeah. Then it has to be the last level at that point. Then
just the way everyone's talking, it's this is it. This is once you find this kind of deal.
Yeah. All right, for sure. Yeah. Well, Psychonauts 2. I won't spoil anything, but I don't know. Psychonauts 1 was one of my favorite platforms of all time. And then I was really worried about this game going into it, but I shouldn't have been. This game exceeded my expectations for sure. It took 16 years for this game to come out, and they just knocked it out of the park. The game's presentation, just like the first one, it's incredible. The visuals are amazing. The guys on the Nextlander podcast put it the best when they said that the music is pretty much as close as you can get to Danny Elfman music without it being Danny Elfman, which is true because it's got this whimsical flourish even when it's at its most epic. The voice acting is top notch. The story is full of twists, humor. It's full of heart as well. It's by far my favorite story in a video game in the last couple of years. And the gameplay is just really, really fun. They brought that classic 2005 platformer feel into the modern ages, and it doesn't feel ancient, but that just might be more of a testament to how great the original game was. The level design might not be as inventive as the original's Milkman Conspiracy or that kaiju level, but they're definitely trippier and less of a slog to go through. Yeah, I just think it's the perfect sequel to what I thought was a almost perfect game. Yeah, so can't wait to hear what you think about it, Angel. Like I said, the levels might not be as wacky, but they're still definitely incredibly fun to play.
For sure.
Let's go into What have we done so far? We've done favorite TV show,
Show, movie, reading, game. I think there's music and...
Oh, yeah, let's do music.
I don't know. Okay.
You go ahead.
Oh, no, I need to think about it. It's tricky because, like, I feel like this year was so much... I mean, 2020 surprisingly had a decent amount of good music, even with the pandemic. But I feel like there's I mean, not to bookend the episode with the Weeknd, but, like, going right into the pandemic, there was the Weeknd, and then, like, throughout the year, the Killers put out something and whatnot. But I feel like 2021 had so much, like, backlog of, like, delays and stuff that was worked on in the pandemic that was just, like, a huge... I feel like it was a big year for music this year, so it's actually kind of hard. Like, there are, like, 3 or 4... 5 when Linkin Park was when Chester was still alive. There were like a few bands that no matter what they do, they'd always like be of peak interest to me. And this year, or artists I should say, and this year 3 of them came out with something, which is pretty uncommon. Like Coldplay, Foo Fighters, and Kanye all in the span of, I think, 7 months, all came out with something. And then the Weeknd just did, this week. So it's like never ending. But yeah, it's tough. I think... Definitely wasn't Coldplay's strongest album, so that's off the table. I never even talked about it on the show, but yeah, it has it's interesting to do like a sci-fi theme. The music's fine, but it's not their best. I might have to give it to Donda by Kanye, not necessarily because it's the best album. Like he has a lot of filler. Donda. But yeah, we should have just done that for the whole minute and a half. But yeah, he has a lot of filler on it. There's a lot of stuff that you could tell like. Isn't exactly half baked, but could have used a little more time in the oven. But I think as like a thing that captured my interest in this past year of music, like in part because he kept delaying the thing, he kept dragging out the launch process, like all these events around it, all these stadium things around it. Like it was a fixture of my like kind of music consumption of this year, just because it kept going and going, and it was such a big like moment when it happened. And the album, there are some very good songs on it. There are some, like I said, some filler, but it overall just was kind of the album for me this year, even though it wasn't necessarily the highest quality album. Or like Foo Fighters, I thought it really like pretty tight, as in like not like cool, but tight, like compact, like tight album of songs back in February. But it kind of came and went, and I've still listened to it, but it just kind of came and went. But like the Kanye one really felt like it was just a thing, and it kept going. Like even when I saw him in December, like it was kind of riding the coattails of that momentum it built. So. I might have to give it to Donda just for that. I don't know if it's the strongest though, but it's definitely one that like kind of resonated. And there was a lot in between, to be fair, even not among my big artists. Like, I don't know if you probably know him from the Game Awards, but Churches, they put out a really good album called Screen Violence in August, if you like, kind of synth pop stuff. While I was waiting for Kanye to come out, I discovered this other rapper named IDK who has some Kanye-ish vibes. His album at the time, I forgot what it was called, but that was pretty good. But yeah, I think just the raw momentum of Donda and just kind of the experience around trying to be able to listen to Donda just made it that much more impactful for me, at least. So
nice. Yeah, my favorite album was also a rap album this year. Yeah, I bet you're never gonna guess this album.
Certified Lover Boy by Drake. No?
A banger. Is that a rap album?
I don't
know.
He raps, sorta. I mean, technically it's rap. Yeah, he has some rap songs on there. So yeah, I'd say it's rap.
Okay. No. The album is called Shut the F Up Talking to Me. Do you know this album?
Who's it by?
Zach Fox.
I do know of Zach Fox. Yeah, okay. But I don't know the album.
So,
yeah.
Zach Fox, comedian, best known for the song Jesus is the One, I Got Depression. This is sort of like it's a song, let me tell you. I don't know, Zach Fox is a comedian. He's not a tame comedian. He's very out there. He's gotten banned off Twitter for some I would say sort of tasteless jokes. Regardless, this is like a legitimate rap album that's like grimy, it's raw, and it's hilarious at the same time. It's not necessarily a comedy album in the same way that like the Lonely Island has their comedy rap stuff. But they are in the same realm where their music has no right being as expertly produced as it is, considering that they're so funny. Like the beats are incredible. Zach Fox has an insane flow for being a comedian, but maybe that's actually to his benefit. I think the first and only single is called Fafo, would give you a good understanding of like what his music is all about. I'd also just recommend listening to some of like his earlier stuff, and by earlier I just mean like I think 2019 is when he had his first single. But there's a song that he has that's called Square Up that's all about fighting. And then definitely Jesus Is the One I Got Depression. That sort of became a viral hit on like TikTok and stuff like that. If you don't like those songs, you're definitely not going to like this album. But man, I just think it's really hard not to like his music, even if you don't like rap music. I absolutely think everybody should check it out, especially if you're in it for a good laugh.
I'm definitely intrigued because, like, I like the grimier sound of a lot of hip hop, and I know you said the kind of stylings are different, but like Lonely Island doing kind of like not serious rap, like I mean, one of my favorite, not even kidding, one of my favorite albums from the last few years when Lonely Island did the Bash Brothers thing, which was like a Netflix 30-minute. It's basically making fun of Beyonce's Lemonade, but it was like about the two baseball players from the 80s, Jose Concerto and the other dude, forgetting his name. And yeah, they did like a whole like concept album about these two guys and their rise and fall. But it was all like kind of like jokes, but the rap production was really good. So like I'm intrigued based on what you're saying about the production here.
Yeah.
I'll probably check it out.
Yeah, it's fun. Switching over from music to
Wait, does Angel
anime.
have anything at all?
Oh, yeah, sorry, Angel. Do you have anything?
Definitely no album. At least not that I could think of off the top of my head that I got this year.
Any music? Any new music that you heard this year? Oh, I can think of one.
But there's one track that I've definitely gone back to a lot. I mean, I guess technically, I guess the Final Fantasy VII remake album.
That's the one.
I definitely listened to that a ton. It was, I think, my most listened to album, according to Spotify, and the Nobu, the composer, I think was also my most listened to composer because of just that album. So yeah, I guess Final Fantasy.
You should play that now that it's on the PC.
I mean, I have it because of PlayStation Plus.
Oh yeah, so I guess just wait until you get a PS5 because I think people that got on PlayStation Plus can now upgrade to the PS5 version for free.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, actually, I don't know how that works, but I'd look into it so that it's at least in your library before they don't allow you to do that. Yeah, cool.
Definitely will.
And really quick, shoving in one more. I forgot when I was rattling off the ones that didn't quite make the cut. I forgot it happened this year because what is time anymore? But weirdly enough, 21 Pilots Shy Away, or no, the song Shy Away, the album's Scaled and Icy. But that album, I'm not a huge 21 Pilots guy. That one really hit with me for some reason. I'm not sure why. They went with a slightly different style. It's a little maybe poppier at times. But yeah, that one worked. So that was back in the start of the year. But again, not the top, but worth a mention. So anyway,
cool.
Sorry.
Let's go with favorite anime. Jason.
Pass. Which is, by the way, a great anime. Pass is a hit anime that no one else knows about. It's great.
Too many to think about, point. For sure. I mean, 2021 was pretty much stacked with anime for me personally. Like Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, Attack on Titan Season 4, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia. But like the one that took the cake for me was Kaguya-sama Love is War. I waxed poetic about this anime back in like February, but it was truly like my favorite anime this year that I saw. Mugen Train almost took it because that is an incredible anime movie, but they finally released a 10-minute teaser for season 3 about a month ago, and it brought back all the memories I had about how much I love this anime. It's a very unconventional choice for me since I am like a shonen brat, and I still don't see myself watching a whole lot of non-shonen anime, but this one was like an incredible breath of fresh air that I needed, and season 3 comes out in April, I believe, which is fantastic. I guess there was a like 2-year delay between season 2 and season 3. So, yeah, super excited for that. So, Kaguya-sama mistaken it for me. Angel?
That's a good choice. Yeah, I still haven't finished that one, but I really am enjoying what I've seen so far.
Oh, so you have seen it. Awesome.
Oh.
That's great.
Yeah, due to your recommendation. I know even Oba started watching it recently, and we were having like a nice chat about it. Or just, like, our favorite moments.
Nice.
Wait, he hasn't told you that he started watching it?
Yeah, he told me. He told me
okay.
a day or two ago. And it's because I saw that season 3 teaser with him. I forced him to watch it with me.
Oh. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about a day or two ago that I found out as well. It's funny because I had told him a long time ago that I started watching it, but then when he told me that he was watching it, I think he forgot that I had seen it already because he seemed surprised that I had seen it. But yeah, I think for me, damn, it's really hard. It's like between Alone in the Sea and Agretzko, but I think I might go with Alone in the Sea. I know I've talked about that show already. It's like, kind of slice of lifey, love triangle-y kind of show, but it just handles the drama really well. I mean, it just kind of reminds me of like Cobra Kai, how like everything always feels very unstable. Like, oh, you think like, oh, look, they're patching things up, but oh, in the background, this is gonna mess everything up. Like, there's always something like that, and it just balances it out really well. But I think like my favorite part about it is just the fact that even though, yeah, it's kind of a romance anime, it does it in a different way that just feels natural. Kind of going to that word again. Just the way I felt about Dirty Dancing. Like, the characters, I don't think you ever see them kiss. I think like there's like a big impactful scene later that I think like in any other show it would be like, oh, and then they kiss, like, oh, now they're a couple. It's all meaningful, but all they do is just like hug. And somehow that hug felt way more impactful than I feel any kiss would have, just because of the way it was just handled. I don't know. Whoever wrote this show definitely took the time to like. You could tell this was like done in like many drafts. Like a lot of things just feel tight, especially even weirdly the fact that the show is basically about a society of people that live on land and people that live in the water. But the people that live in the water, like, they intentionally, obviously, like, didn't even try explaining how things work, because I feel like it would raise way more questions than answers.
So, Luca?
Like, I mean, they have TV in the underwater world. They have paper in the underwater world. Like, when you're in the underwater world, it may as well be the surface world. Like, this is how it looks when they animate it. The only difference is that you see fish flying, like, floating around, and the occasional bubbles here and there, and like the scenery just looks really pretty. But yeah, it's just like people could basically fly here,
so
except
Luca,
when they go on land.
Basically, Luca.
Yeah, it's basically Luca, except they don't look like monsters.
Right,
they look still like people. But yeah. So I think I'd give it to Lone Sea. That was surprising, to say the least. But yeah.
Nice. And to round us all out, I don't know, your favorite event or live event. I think this one is exclusively Jason.
Is it? No one else did any, like, it doesn't have to be a live event. It could just be a favorite thing you did now that we got to go back in the world a little. Like, it's gotta be something. I know we all did something.
Well, I'm Jason. I go out and do stuff.
But we all did. You were just at a cabin a couple weeks ago, Angel. You went out in the world. Like, it's all fair game.
I'm Jason. I think I'm better than everybody.
Nope. But yeah, you would think.
Your words, not mine.
I'm pretty sure they were your words, but okay. I was gonna say, I think the logical one, based on my talk about like the Donda momentum with Kanye, would be his concert. But weirdly, I think the one that just like clicked the most was in August. I didn't talk about it on the show, but in August I went and saw the Green Day, Fall Out Boy, Weezer, Hella Mega tour, actually down in San Diego, because it was supposed to be during Comic-Con, and then Comic-Con didn't happen, and the tour got moved, and then they got out of sync, and anyway, so I made a weekend of it. But yeah, like, it was the first, like, I did a concert before that called Vax Live that was, I think I talked about it on the show, but the very first concert I went back to, and that was an experience just to like be back in that environment. But the Hella Mega one was the first like full capacity, normal, not for television, just concert. And it was 3 concerts back to back to back. Like it was Weezer for an hour, it was Fall Out Boy for an hour, it was Green Day for an hour, it was outside at Petco Park. I somehow scored really good seats through sheer luck, like at a decent price, like in the front and center of it, like right behind the pit. So I had like a great view just again by sheer luck, and I was impressed by just how much energy it had, and like each band had a full, even though it was like an outdoor festival stage setup, they each had like a full set built. And like because they were all essentially headliners, even though obviously there was a hierarchy, they all had like the budget of essentially headliners, so they really did have like set pieces and stuff. Like Fall Out Boy had so much pyro. But yeah, it was really cool because it was like the energy of it, and just hearing those songs. Like I listened to those bands a lot when I was younger, so hearing like a lot of that stuff live for the first time ever was really cool. Like I think Green Day at the Game Awards one year, and they did 2 songs, and Weezer at like Made in America Festival years ago, and they did, like a 20-minute set or something. But it was cool to like actually hear like all of it, and kind of turned into like a mini vacation for the weekend. So that one might take the cake. It like I went in being like, oh, this will be fun, but I was like really blown away by like the quality of it and just how fun it was. So it exceeded my expectations. So that's mine, I guess. I don't know if you guys have anything. It doesn't have to be a concert. It's just anything. Like, we all got to go back in the world for at least a minute there for the summer. So
I did nothing with it. The only thing that I did was
you're the only one brave enough to do something, Jason.
Was Gilbert's birthday, and that turned out to be a nightmare for me.
Yeah, I mean, you survived.
Yeah, technically, yeah, I survived, but I definitely lost a few years off my life.
Was that bad for you by the end?
Did I not tell you the story?
I don't. The only thing I know is we all drank a lot, and that's about where it ended. That's all I know.
Oh, I'll tell you about it after the podcast then.
Okay. Ooh, mysterious. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I didn't know the whole story, but and that was kind of a nice return to normalcy, is just being able to all collectively go out and bar hop for the first time like that, or maybe first time that we all did. Yeah. Yeah, it was. And now that's all just fleeting again. It's, it's up to the variant at this point if we gotta keep doing that.
Well,
safely doing that.
Well, yeah, Jason mentioned I did go to a cabin, but we were only there for like a day. Like, I hardly consider it an event. It just happened it just came by so fast.
But you did like LA Comic Con too.
Didn't really have enough time to take in everything. I guess it was also LA Comic Con. I mean, that was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it for sure. It was nice to return to a convention scene after a couple years.
Yeah.
I feel that alone made it feel great, even if like the convention itself didn't have a ton going on that I really was interested in. It was still fun just to walk down the aisle, see what people are selling, see who's presenting stuff. Like, that was cool. It gave me those like Anime Expo nostalgia vibes, which I guess tickets are going on sale soon, but I don't even know if that's going to happen. I mean, it seems like things are starting to drop again. Like, we'll see if Comic-Con will even be a thing again, or will even not be a thing again. So there's that. So, but I mean,
I do. While you think, I do second your.
I guess between those two, I'll just give it to LA Comic Con at that point. It's definitely the biggest event I went to, and it was fun. It was nice just to return to a convention scene.
I do second your point about like a convention didn't have to be good to feel fun this time around, because like I did a Complex Con at Star November, which is, for those who don't know, kind of like Complex, the websites, like the streetwear, hip hop, whatever websites, like us and that same friend Gilbert, I tend to go with him to this one for the music stuff primarily. Weirdly, a lot of Pokemon there this year because Pokemon's now trendy. But like it wasn't the best showing there, but it was fun to just be able to walk around when you weren't being slightly unnerved by people that decided to take their masks off. But for the most part, it was kind of nice to be back in that element, at least briefly.
Well, yeah,
cool.
Like that.
In that case, I think that's gonna wrap us all up. Unless you guys want to give awards to anything else that we failed to mention here.
Best co-hosts go to Angel and Kevin. I did an arm cross, but no one
I'll
could
give
see
my
it.
best co-host award to Angel for sure.
I think I would give it to Kevin, actually.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Brought a few laughs. Very appreciated. I mean, Jason was a very, very, very close second. I mean, you were really good, but yeah, I think there was an extra kick of surprise that came from Kevin this year.
Yeah, it's funny because close second in this instance is also last. So, but no hard feelings. No hard feelings.
That is unfortunate. I mean, like, if I had to like assign scores, like, let's just say that, like, if it was out of 100, like, we'll say that Kevin got a 100 and you got a 99.
Yeah, you're still an
A. I'll take it. I'll take it.
And it's not that you started from 100 and lost a point. Like, you know,
I started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Is what you're saying? Why did I make that reference? What year is it?
So surprisingly, I guess there is like one last random award I could give. And I think Jason might be able to potentially too. I guess like favorite thing I built this year, because for some reason this year, especially towards the end of the year, I ended up building a lot of model kits / Lego sets. Like I built the Lego Nintendo Cube, I built a Lego bonsai tree, I built a model kit for a Woody and a model kit for a Buzz. And I think there's one more that I'm forgetting.
To clarify, the Nintendo Cube is the Lego Mario 64 ? Block set. For anyone that doesn't know, for anyone that thought there was a Lego GameCube, no, it's that.
But yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I guess obviously the Nintendo Cube was definitely the most complex and interesting one, so I would definitely give it to that. But if we're saying not Nintendo, then probably the bonsai tree. That was pretty nice and serene. If it wasn't for the instructions of the Woody and Buzz model kit being weirdly ordered and portrayed where like half of them were in color and half of them were black and white, which was kind of annoying because you look at the color one, then it's really easy to find the shape almost immediately just by sight. But when it's in black and white, all the pieces kind of look alike toward the beginning, so you have to rely on this is E2, okay. Now to get F1, okay. Yeah, it was a little hampered by that, so definitely giving it to the bonsai tree.
I guess I could answer this. You're right. Because, I mean, for me, it was the opposite. You started building more as the year went on. I built less as the year went on. But early on, like during more of the proper pandemic, I did 1,000+ piece Takashi Murakami puzzle, like the artist, and that is now framed and hanging in my living room. Or, well, my girlfriend I should say. She did like 80% of it, so I don't know why I'm taking credit. She did most of it. I just sat there. But, that was actually a really cool puzzle. It's like original art by him. And I built a desk. Helped build a desk. Did half of the desk. But it's a nice desk. So I think between the puzzle and the desk, the puzzle gets it.
I can convert?
No, it's just a regular desk. It's like an extra long white desk that has like a couple drawers I use for work now. But I was on a folding table when I first moved into the apartment, like just over a year ago. So it was nice to upgrade to like a nice sturdy desk. And it's a very clean, like minimalist type of design, and I really like the desk. But I think in terms of, if I had to pick a favorite thing to build, it would be the puzzle that I did 20% of by far. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess in that case, that'll definitely wrap us all up. Yeah. We will be back next week with a new episode of the Random Nintendo podcast. But in the meantime, you can check us out on Twitter. We are at Random Nintendo. Individually, Jason is at JSR7. Angel is Weiro at WEIRO_O. And I am at KVN Gomi. And you guys are already listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Amazon Podcasts or Stitcher or TuneIn Radio, or does iHeartRadio do podcasts?
They do, and we're there. Yep.
They do, and we are there. And with that being said, Jason, take us out.
As you were talking, this is true, this just happened. As you were talking, a little spider just lowered itself about 3 inches from my face, and it kind of startled me. And that's all I've got.